Chapter 11 The insurmountable sacred mountain is so sloppy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's the Son of God, Wu Dao, that the elders from the various clans, all VIPs within the restricted zone, bowed to Kong Wudao. Whoa. The temple of time and space erupted the moment those words were spoken. They'd been expecting it, but hearing it out loud still shook them. Greetings, Son of God. Countless top talents in the restricted zone bowed to Kong Wudao. Watching this, the 9 imperial heirs were stunned, their hearts pounding. They perceived Kong Wudao's cultivation to be 2 levels below theirs. He was only at the 7th level of the Dao Palace realm, while they were at the 9th, yet, facing him, they felt like a regular person staring up at an impossible mountain, insignificant, not even worthy of a glance. Seeing Kong Wudao's mount, the Apocalypse Azure Dragon, sent many of them reeling. It's an Apocalypse Azure Dragon in the Saint Realm. These dragons are royalty, with the purest blood and natural arrogance. And this one's power is way beyond Kong Wudao's. Yet, it's his mount, looking perfectly content. It's crystal clear that the dragon is willing to be there. This is insane. This is the Son of God, Wu Dao. Standing in the crowd, Kong Xuanhuan gazed at Kong Wudao in the sky, her eyes sparkling. She'd only heard stories about him, never seen him in person. She'd imagined him countless times, but the real thing was even more impressive. For the first time, she felt lucky to be an imperial heir, knowing it gave her the right to see him up close. Kong Wudao descended, landing softly in front of everyone. He glanced at the temple of time and space, then smiled at the 9 imperial heirs. So, you're the top dogs in my restricted zone. His eyes flicked over them, and they immediately bowed. Greetings, Son of God Wudao. Most of them kept their heads down, avoiding his gaze. The other geniuses were blown away by this. As the strongest in the restricted zone, the imperial heirs were used to ruling the roost. Their powerful backgrounds and unmatched talents gave them a natural arrogance, but now, this Son of God shows up, and they're bowing down. Then again, the pressure rolling off Kong Wudao was unreal, unlike anything they'd ever felt. At the same time, several of them shot glances at Kong Xianyang. They remembered his earlier boasts. Now that the real deal was here, what would he do? Kong Xuanhuan even sent him a secret message. Where's your swagger now? Weren't you going to challenge the Son of God and steal his title? He's here, so why aren't you calling him out? People say you're all brawn and no brains, and you still don't believe it. Kong Xianyang looked grim, sweat beading on his forehead. He was starting to sweat, like the others. He'd never actually met Kong Wudao. Kong Wudao was born in a time of destruction with weakened spiritual energy, so he assumed he wouldn't be that tough. Plus, he was one of the strongest of the 9 imperial heirs, which gave him a false sense of confidence. But seeing Kong Wudao and his Saint Realm mount, the Apocalypse Azure Dragon, he realized he'd been reckless. His own mount was just 9 golden lions. And he'd worked his tail off to keep those lions in line. They were strong, but nowhere near the Apocalypse Azure Dragon's level. He couldn't possibly challenge Kong Wudao. He'd have a hard time with just the dragon. Kong Xianyang wasn't stupid. He was just a bit arrogant and loved to show off. Kong Wudao could keep an Apocalypse Azure Dragon in line. His strength must be off the charts. Challenging him now would probably, definitely end in a loss. Even so, the thought of some random Son of God waltzing in and taking charge still stung. I hear the 9 of you are quite talented, Kong Wudao said with a smile. Anyone up for a friendly spar? Think of it as getting to know each other. He'd caught their doubts, subtle as they were. Time to show them what he could do. The elders were taken aback, but quickly chimed in. That's right, Son of God. True understanding comes from a little healthy competition. Why did you word it like that, old geezer? The Son of God Wudao has been asleep for ages. Now that he's awake, what better way to reconnect with the imperial heirs than a good fight? Xianyang, didn't you want to be the Son of God? Now's your chance. Pft. Cough cough. Kong Changqing choked. Were these guys deliberately trying to embarrass him? Anyone who knew their history knew how strong Kong Wudao was. Kong Xianyang was talented, sure, but, picking between him and Kong Wudao was no contest. Sensing the stares, Kong Chongqing had to bite the bullet. He told Kong Xianyang, you wanted to challenge the son of God Wudao, didn't you? Here's your chance to learn from him. His son was used to getting his way, always so smug. Hopefully, this would teach him a lesson about staying humble. Chapter 12 Defeat the Emperor #039, S Son in one move, as transcendent as an immortal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone's attention immediately turned to Kong Xianyang in the crowd. Under all those eyes, Kong Xuanhuan's face went through a series of changes, and his mind raced. No way, these elders and my old man set me up, didn't they? His earlier silence gave the impression that he was intimidated by Kong Wudao, even backing down, but now, after their little powwow, he felt like he was being forced into action. Sure, Kong Wudao radiated power, an unnerving, unfathomable aura, but as a top-ranked emperor's son from the time-space zone, he still had plenty of faith in his own skills. Even if he couldn't beat Wu Dao, he ought to be able to hold his own for a few rounds, right? With that thought firmly in place, Kong Xianyang took a deep breath, stepped out of the crowd, raised his hands towards Kong Wudao, and said, Kong Xianyang greets the Son of God, Wudao. Kong Wudao didn't act high and mighty, returning the gesture. After a brief greeting, several elders stepped in and, with a display of their considerable powers, conjured up an arena right there in the Temple of Time and Space Square. Kong Wudao and Kong Xianyang faced off on the newly formed stage. Son of God Wudao, don't hold anything back in this little sparring match. Kong Chongqing said with a smile, my boy's a little too full of himself, so please give him a good lesson. After all, pride and complacency never got anyone far, but Kong Xianyang just rolled his eyes at his father's words. Between him and Kong Wudao, who was the boy here? Did his father really want to see him get his butt kicked that badly? All right. Kong Wudao replied with a faint smile. If that's how it was going to be, he'd give them a taste of the combined aura of his two major physiques. Boom. Suddenly, Kong Wudao's aura surged and began to climb dramatically. His figure seemed to grow taller. Chaos light burst forth from his body in a blinding display. Surrounded by swirling mists of chaos, it was as if countless stars were ripping through the cosmos and landing right there, showcasing his invincible power. But that wasn't all. The divine patterns of the great Dao, pulsing with limitless power, flickered in Kong Wudao's eyes. They twisted and turned in his pupils, stirring up a storm of time and space fragments. Then, endless starlight gathered and solidified behind Kong Wudao, slowly forming a massive time-space portal. The portal stood tall, surrounded by the boundless glory of time and space, like a gateway to some indescribable realm. At that moment, the emptiness and chaotic body of nothingness and the Qiyuan spacetime divine eye unleashed their full power. Terrifying energy filled the sky, and the overwhelming pressure was like the weight of the heavens crashing down. What a terrifying presence! Whoa! Is this for real? Just releasing his aura packs that kind of punch. Don't forget, the Son of God Wu Dao wields two original physiques that tower above the 3,000 Dao bodies. That the watching geniuses were blown away, stunned into silence. Even with the arena's magical barriers in place, the terrifying power radiating from the circle sent shivers down their spines. Crack! Kong Xianyang felt the full force of that terrifying aura in the arena. He could practically hear his bones creaking under the pressure. Kong Wudao could unleash that kind of power just by flexing his aura. He felt like an ant facing the wrath of a god. Seeing Kong Xianyang struggling under his aura, Kong Wudao smiled lightly and said, I won't bully you. If you can make me take a single step back, you win. Gasps rippled through the crowd again. Wasn't their Son of God getting a little cocky? Kong Xianyang was a top contender among the 9 emperors, but now, Kong Wudao was saying that all he had to do was make him stumble. Kong Xianyang looked genuinely stung. His competitive spirit flared. After all, he was an emperor's son from the time-space zone. When had anyone ever looked down on him like this? Then the Son of God Wudao better watch out. He roared and unleashed his dragon elephant celestial body. Boom! An explosion of power erupted from Kong Xuanyang's body. As the divine light of thousands of strange phenomena swirled and solidified, a colossal figure appeared behind Kong Xianyang, radiating the power of the ultimate dragon elephant. It's Emperor Xuanhuan's signature move. The dragon elephant battles the heaven dharma, that the watching geniuses from the time-space zone gasped. Xuanhuan's disciples have used that technique to defeat Emperor Daoyuan, Emperor Yaoguang, and others. It's devastating. However, in the eyes of the time-space zone elders, Kong Xianyang, even at full power, didn't gain an inch. He was still being overwhelmed by Kong Wudao's presence. Good show, but not quite there yet. Kong Wudao smiled faintly, and his aura intensified. As Kong Wudao lowered his hand, Kong Xianyang felt as if the sky itself was crashing down on him, crushing his surging power. He couldn't even think about attacking. Defending against the crushing pressure was all he could manage. But then, Kong Wudao flicked his sleeves, sending wisps of chaotic light soaring into the sky. Hum! They coalesced into a massive chaotic divine seal, inscribed with the sun, moon, stars, mountains, and rivers. Very Tianshan sea seal, that the watching geniuses recognized the move instantly. It was a powerful technique from the time-space zone, using the laws of the great Tao to create a divine seal of heaven and earth. It could strike from the heavens and crush the 9 underworlds below. But something seemed different about their Son of God's version. It carried a power that surpassed even some of the elders. Kong Xianyang, standing below, felt that terrifying power and his face paled again. He instinctively threw everything he had into resisting the sea seal of the heavenly mountain. Boom! His entire body glowed with golden light, and the laws within him churned. His body became a series of light holes, blasting forth torrents of divine energy. But even with all his efforts, he couldn't withstand the overwhelming power. With a deafening boom, the sea seal of buried Tianshan crashed down like a sacred mountain. Waves of terrifying power ripped through the arena, and Kong Xianyang was slammed into the ground. The impact point exploded, sending spiderweb-like cracks spreading in every direction. The watching geniuses were knocked off their feet. When the dust settled, his expression was still calm, his white robe spotless, as detached as a god. One of the 9 great emperors of the time-space zone, the supreme young Kong Xianyang, a major player across the entire universe, had been defeated. And from start to finish, Kong Wudao only needed one move, winning with a crushing, sweeping dominance. Kong Xuanyang's pride and joy, the dragon elephant celestial body, one of the strongest physiques, that was completely suppressed despite his best efforts. Even so, Kong Wudao still showed mercy. After all, the guy was one of his own from the time-space zone. Beating him into a vegetable right off the bat wouldn't exactly be a good look, would it? Chapter 13. This is the real invincible genius. The man of destiny has arrived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cough, cough. The sound of coughing broke the silence. Kong Xianyang was struggling to pull himself from the rubble. The contrast between his current state and his former imperial arrogance was stark. He was dazed, utterly lost. What just happened? Did he really lose? Just like that, he couldn't even last a single move against Kong Wudao. Hiss. The onlookers were stunned, gasping for air, completely shocked. They looked from the ashen-faced Kong Xianyang to the still pristine Kong Wudao in his white robes. The visual impact was incredible. The crowd was silent for a beat, then erupted in a deafening roar. Damn! Is the Wudao divine son that strong? I figured Emperor Xianyang would at least put up a fight, but he was taken down in one move. It's not that Emperor Xianyang is weak, it's just that the son of Wudao is on another level. Did you feel that aura he unleashed? How many of us could withstand that? Some people were saying the Wudao divine son might be comparable to the other emperor's heirs. Comparable my foot. All hail the divine son. He's my god from now on. As the crowd buzzed, Kong Jiangyue watched the figure in white, her eyes shining, powerful. The divine son was even stronger than she imagined. And Kong Xianyang, that nobody, dared to try and take his place. Couldn't even handle a single move. What a joke. This is what an invincible genius looks like. The clan elders from the restricted areas were just as amazed, their eyes full of admiration for Kong Wudao. Wudao's been under wraps for too long. He's only at the 7th level of Dao Palace, while Xianyang is 2 levels higher. I never expected such a difference in power. Well, let's not forget what kind of physique the Wudao divine son has. It's unrivaled, even in this day and age. But Wudao was holding back, wasn't he? Definitely. I sensed him pull his punch. Otherwise, Xianyang would be seriously injured from that one strike. Ha! With such talent, Wudao is destined to become an emperor in this lifetime, and maybe even a true immortal. That as the elders chattered, one turned to Kong Changqing with a smile. Changqing, looks like Xianyang has a long way to go if he wants to be the divine son. Ha! Young people are full of themselves. A little setback is good for them. Don't be embarrassed just because your son got knocked out with one hit, Changqing. Xianyang is still young. He can keep practicing. That the elders' teasing was laced with amusement. After all, Kong Xianyang was considered one of the strongest emperor's heirs. They often used sparring matches as a way to let their sons or daughters vent some steam. And whenever Kong Changqing would say that young people fight like this, it's normal. Now things had turned around, making them feel satisfied. Kong Changqing simply smiled in response. Although he told Kong Wudao to go all out, he truly hadn't expected his son to be so thoroughly outmatched. That kid is usually so cocky. Now he's been humiliated. He'd make sure to give him a good whipping when he got back, teach him some humility. Kong Xianyang saw his father's dark look and trembled. This wasn't his fault. He'd never seen Kong Wudao before and had been too confident. But after witnessing his true power, he had been ready to back down. How could he have been so humiliated if his old man hadn't forced him into this? After experiencing Kong Wudao's power, he was truly humbled. He couldn't even last one move. If he dared to argue, he'd be labeled a sore loser. The divine son is too kind. Kong Xianyang quickly cupped his hands toward Kong Wudao and retreated. He wasn't about to make a fool of himself any further. Kong Wudao nodded slightly, looked at the remaining emperor's heirs, and smiled faintly. Anyone else want to try their luck? Those words sent a shockwave through the crowd. Their expressions paled, and they frantically waved their hands. No, no. We're good. The divine son's power is beyond our comprehension. We yield. If Kong Wudao could defeat Kong Xianyang in one move, they didn't stand a chance. This wasn't a friendly match, it was a public humiliation. However, while everyone else was running away, Kong Jiangyue's eyes sparkled, and she was eager to jump in. It didn't matter whether they sparred or not. Her goal was to build a closer relationship with the divine son. If the divine son noticed her talent and decided to take her along on his future travels, wouldn't she get a chance to be with him? Lord Divine Son, I. But before she could finish, a rainbow light flashed in the sky. A guard appeared, bowing to the clan elder. Elder, 2 top talents from the Xuanhuan Dao domain have arrived outside our restricted area. They're here to challenge the Emperor's heirs in our restricted area. At that moment, the system's voice echoed in Kong Wudao's mind. Ding. 2 people of destiny detected outside the restricted area. Their fate and destiny are particularly strong. Hunting is recommended. As if afraid of upsetting Kong Wudao, the system quickly added, whether you hunt or not is entirely up to you, master. It was terrified of Kong Wudao wanting to sever their connection. It didn't dare to force him to do anything. Whether he wanted to do the hunting mission or not, it was all up to Kong Wudao. Oh. People of destiny. Kong Wudao raised an eyebrow, suddenly intrigued. Anyone the system called a person of destiny must be something special. Now that they'd come looking for him, he'd definitely meet these figures of the rising era. Chapter 14 Extraordinary Appearance. Do you think it is nothing more than this? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Outside the time-space restricted area, Yi Chen and Su Qingge stood overlooking the starry expanse. The time-space restricted area, the grave of countless realms, Yi Chen said, hands clasped behind his back. his gaze sweeping the desolate star fields before him. Pride laced his voice. But mark my words, when I rise to become emperor, I will crush this realm under my heel. Hearing his words, Su Qingge gazed at Yi Chen's powerful figure, her eyes shining. In her mind, Yi Chen's talent was simply breathtaking, almost frightening. In less than 3 years, he'd become the most promising talent in the Western Xian domain. Though she and Yi Chen were called the twin stars of the Western Xian domain, Su Qingge knew that a vast chasm separated their combat prowess, and with each passing day, Yi Chen grew stronger. One day, he would truly trample the time-space restricted area into dust. Nevertheless, Su Qingge had unwavering faith in her own abilities. Since awakening her supreme bone, she devoted herself to training so that she could come to this place and avenge her brother. She was confident she could dominate even the imperial sons of this place. Rumble, star. Suddenly, a cataclysmic roar erupted from the star field surrounding the entrance to the time-space restricted area. Laws of light rolled and spread, as space warped and several passages tore open, unleashing waves of terrifying energy. Moments later, figures radiating power emerged from the void. This is. Yi Chen and Su Qingge could tell that these figures appeared incredibly young, yet their auras were like that of young emperors. Each held an inherent air of superiority, exuding a formidable presence. These are the imperial sons of the time-space restricted area. Despite being prepared, both were shocked by what they saw. As 9 emperors descended, the palpable force surrounding them spread outward, causing the void to tremble. Yi Chen and Su Qingge were surprised that the time-space restricted area would send 9 of its imperial sons. Yet, after the initial shock, a sense of pride began to swell within them. The restricted area sent 9 of its own. What did this mean? It meant the time-space restricted area was afraid of their strength and talent, forcing them to send so many opponents. But what happened next showed how mistaken they were. The 9 imperial sons completely ignored Yi Chen and Su Qingge, their faces blank. Not even a glance was spared for the 2 of them. Instead, they stood on either side of the space passage, their faces etched with reverence, as if they awaited someone even greater. Come, star. Suddenly, a brilliant light flashed, hands clasped behind his back. Kong Wudao slowly stepped out of the tear in space. That is. The moment Yi Chen and Su Qingge saw Kong Wudao, they felt a jolt of terror shoot through them. What shocked them was the figure's aura, as if a god had descended to earth. Even the 9 imperial sons of the time-space restricted area seemed insignificant beside him. He was like the most dazzling sun in the sky, and the other 9 were like stars circling him, completely overshadowed. As the other party appeared, an indescribable pressure descended, making them feel overwhelmed. Who was this young man in white with such an extraordinary presence? Why did the imperial sons treat him with such reverence? Could he be the chief emperor? But, weren't the 9 emperors supposed to be the most powerful? Lord Son of God. As Kong Wudao fully emerged from the space crack, the many emperors bowed respectfully. The sparring match might have been short, but the power Kong Wudao had demonstrated had thoroughly convinced them. Compared to their initial skepticism, they now held only absolute respect. Son of God. Hearing this, a bomb went off in the minds of Yi Chen and Su Qingge. Their pupils shrank, and their faces turned incredulous. Weren't there only 9 imperial sons in the time-space restricted area? When had a son of God appeared? The son of God, could it be him? At that moment, Yi Chen's master, the great emperor of the void, exclaimed. Listening to his master's outburst, Yi Chen frowned and asked telepathically, Master, do you know this son of God? The void emperor didn't respond immediately, as if he needed to collect himself. After a moment, he said, Yes, if I'm not mistaken, this person is the son of God of the time-space restricted area, Kong Wudao. Rumor has it he was born in an age of decline. They say he's unrivaled. He became a sacred mountain in the hearts of countless supreme figures in that era. But, for some unknown reason, Kong Wudao was sealed by the time-space restricted area, and gradually faded into obscurity. I never thought he would revive in this era. The Void Emperor seemed to have had an epiphany and murmured, could it be, that the strange phenomenon that erupted in the time-space restricted area was because of his emergence? An age of destruction. Kong Wudao, Yi Chen considered these words. The history of the time-space restricted area was largely unknown to him. If what his master said was true, this so-called son of God must have sealed himself because the conditions in that era were too poor. Now that the heavens were restored, and the laws were abundant, he had emerged from his slumber hoping to achieve enlightenment in this world. He had seen this play out many times. The age of destruction was characterized by scarce spiritual energy and incomplete rules, sometimes called the age of ending dharma. No matter how powerful the experts from that time were, how could they compare to the top experts of the revived heavens? Chapter 15. Is there your brother Supreme Bone here? You are listening at novelfull.audio. But before Yi Chen could get lost in thought, he felt someone staring. He looked up and met Kong Wudao's gaze. Kong Wudao's dark eyes were like chips of eternal ice, radiating an inexplicable chill. Under that gaze, Yi Chen and Su Qingge felt exposed, as if he could see right through them. Name, Yi Chen. Identity, protagonist of destiny, direct disciple of Emperor Void. Realm, 9th level of Dao Palace Realm. Physique, 9-turn divine phoenix body. Preview. Skills, Void Dao Yen Ju, 9 transformations of the Divine Phoenix Sutra, Heaven Escape 9 elements technique. Treasures, Void Treasure Seal, Void Breaking Holy Spear, Heavenly Flame Spiritual Fire. Destiny points, 6,000. Possible avenue fragment drops, avenue of power, avenue of void, avenue of spears. Kong Wudao raised an eyebrow and asked the system, what's this destiny point thing, master? Destiny points are tied to a destined person's luck. You can convert destiny points into avenue fragments, boosting your progress in hunting the 3,000 avenues. So, because I'm a hunter, I don't have to worry about bad karma. Kong Wudao smirked. Then I can just hunt him and steal all his destiny points, right? Yes. Hunting or not, and how you do it, is up to you. You could even tame him and make him work for you. If you mess with their heads during the hunt or taming process, the destiny points you get could trigger a double critical hit, or even higher. Didn't you get all dark and upgraded? Why can't I get a critical hit if I just hunt them, master? Before the upgrade, hunting a destined person directly would result in heavenly punishment and only half, or less, of the destiny points. Now, you get everything, no backlash, and can enjoy the hunt for at least double the points. Also. Xiaotong unlocked a God tier sign-in template. Kong Wudao cut off the system before it could start crying again. The system was just icing on the cake anyway. As long as it made his journey less boring, he didn't really care. Since he chose to become a hunter, he'd become a damn good one. A real hunter loves the chase more than the kill. He gave Yi Chen and Su Qingge a teasing look. Did you two come to challenge the Emperor's order in my time-space restricted zone? Kong Wudao's voice was soft, but it echoed across the star field. Yi Chen and Su Qingge saw an absolute condescension in his gaze. He looked like a hunter with all the advantages. They were the prey, his to play with. That look pissed Yi Chen off. As the top talent in Xuanhuan Dao domain, he'd had an easy run and no one had ever looked at him like that. But before he could say anything, Su Qingge spoke. That's right. I, Su Qingge, am here to collect a debt from your time-space restricted zone. Everyone in the restricted zone turned to look at Su Qingge. In Kong Wudao's view, a system panel appeared above Su Qingge's head. Name, Su Qingge. Identity, protagonist of destiny. Realm, 9th level of Dao Palace Realm. Physique, innate supreme bone. Peep, various branches of supreme bone. Skills, treasure of creation. Gui Dao Ju. Magic weapon, 9 Xian exquisite sword, heart protecting jade. Destiny points, 4,000. Possible avenue fragment drops, avenue of swords, avenue of flames, avenue of ice. So, they were the destined male and female leads. Hunting two at once would be twice the fun. But the only downside was her physique was only in its early stages, so it wouldn't be much of a challenge. In this world, physiques were ranked: penetration, small success, great success, peak, perfection, and transcendence. No way, the son of God from the time-space restricted zone. Yi Chen had just told Su Qingge everything he learned about Kong Wudao from the Emperor of the Void. though Kong Wudao's sudden appearance scared her, she couldn't back down now. Do you remember Su Xian? Decades ago, my brother Su Xian came to challenge your time-space restricted zone, and vanished. Su Qingga's eyes blazed with anger. Your people killed him and stole his supreme bone. The other emperors looked confused. Su Xian. Who's that? Anyone know him? Who knows? Tons of geniuses come here to play around. They all die, anyway. Su Xian's probably the same. Can't even remember his name. Probably just trash. The supreme bone was a top-tier physique, but the current emperor and the ones before him had at least 3,000 top-ranked physiques, so they didn't care about this one. The 9 emperors were completely indifferent and even making fun of her dead brother. Before she could explode, Kong Wudao pulled out the heavenly treasure box his father gave him. He waved his hand and the box burst with light. I don't know your brother, Su Xian. But if you say we stole his supreme bone. Kong Wudao grinned. Why don't you take a look and see if any of these bones are his? Suddenly, 49 glowing golden bones appeared from the box. This. Yi Chen and Su Qingga were stunned, like they'd been hit by lightning. Their faces twisted in shock. The 9 emperors were speechless. Their mouths hung open in disbelief. 49, a total of 49 supreme bones. Chapter 16 How dare you, a mere ant, take action against the Son of God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alongside the 49 supreme bones, they materialized in mid-air. A vast, luminous haze enveloped everything. The sound of the Dao, infused with the glow, painted the surroundings in reddish gold. Even the laws seemed to pulsate with its rhythm. The supreme bone, the pinnacle physique among 3,000 Dao bodies. The appearance of 1 or 2 would be understandable, but this, a staggering 49 supreme bones. The visual impact was overwhelming. A scene so unreal, it was something you couldn't imagine even in a dream. Is that, my brother's supreme bone? Suddenly, Su Qingga sensed a familiar aura emanating from one of the 49 supreme bones. Her eyes scanned the array, finally settling on one in particular. After focusing on it, she was stunned. There was no doubt, it was her brother's supreme bone. She had been clinging to a sliver of hope, but now, seeing her brother's supreme bone exposed like this, the last vestige of that hope shattered completely. Looks like you found it. Kong Wudao noticed the change in Su Qingga's demeanor. A faint smile played on his lips as he said, too bad for you. This is a gift from my father, and I can't just hand it over. He then cast a suggestive glance at Su Qingga's chest. Of course, if you really want it that badly, you could always dig out your own supreme bone. Maybe I'd consider it in exchange for your brother's. Ding! Su Qingga's Dao heart has been struck. Opponent's destiny points decreased to 3,500, and the host received 500 destiny points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining a double critical hit and 1,000 destiny points. Ding! Yi Chen also displayed great emotional fluctuations. Opponent's destiny points decreased to 5550, and the host successfully obtained 50 destiny points. Congratulations to the host for triggering a triple critical hit and successfully gaining 150 destiny points. Hearing the system notification, Kong Wudao's smile widened. Is this the extent of a destiny child in the era of revival? A few taunting words were enough to cause such emotional turmoil, and this Yi Chen is nothing more than a simp, easily stirred up over her. It's truly disappointing that such a character is destined to be the protagonist of this era. You. Su Qingga trembled upon hearing his words. As a top talent in the Xuanhuan Dao domain, she had never faced such blatant humiliation. Kong Wudao's suggestion for her to give up her supreme bone felt like being told to dig it out herself. Su Qingga abruptly raised her head, eyes blazing with murderous intent, and roared, I'm going to kill you. Boom! With her deceased brother so brazenly insulted, Su Qingga tossed aside any regard for his identity. All she wanted was revenge for her brother. A brilliant light erupted from Su Qingga's chest. The power of the innate supreme bone surged forth uncontrollably, its terrifying force shaking the very void. Kong Wudao remained unfazed, prepared to take action. How dare you? How dare an insignificant ant attack the Son of God without Dao? But unexpectedly, a figure beside him stepped forward, delivering a devastating palm strike toward Su Qingge. Boom! The swirling laws of the great Dao surged, transforming into a hand of laws that blotted out the sky. Like an ancient mountain, it crashed down upon Su Qingge. Tianshan breaking heaven palm. Su Qingge didn't evade, instead summoning her strength and striking at the descending divine palm. However, she underestimated the palm's power. A loud crack echoed. Su Qingge's blow was as fragile as paper, disintegrating instantly. Destroy the world. Immediately after, Su Qingge roared, unleashing the powerful magic of the innate supreme bone. Endless Dao runes converged in mid-air, morphing into a divine light that could destroy heaven and earth, hurtling towards the falling palm. Boom! At the same time, the aftermath of the descending palm remained potent, carrying its destructive power and continuing to crush Su Qingge. Qingge, that it was only then that Yi Chen reacted, crying out and rushing in front of Su Qingge, he threw a punch at the descending divine palm. Rumbling, the two terrifying forces collided like stars. A terrifying storm of energy erupted in all directions, causing countless stars to tremble. The fog of law billowed, completely engulfing and obscuring Su Qingge and Yi Chen. At that moment, Kong Wudao clearly recognized the figure who had intervened. It was the emperor's daughter from the 9 emperor's sons, Kong Xuanhuan. The woman possessed a breathtaking appearance, her features exquisite, silky green hair danced in the wind like a cascade of stars under the force of a law storm. Dressed in white, she exuded an aloof and otherworldly aura, but before Kong Wudao could even ask her name, Yi Chen's voice rang out, filled with anger. Does the Son of God, being in the forbidden space and time zone, only hide behind women? Letting a woman fight your battles? As the fog of law dissipated with the wind, Yi Chen and Su Qingge were revealed. Yi Chen's right arm was wrapped around Su Qingge's slender waist, Su Qingge was pressed against his chest, and the pair looked like an immortal couple. Yi Chen, you. Su Qingge's ears flushed red, but before she could speak, Yi Chen cut her off. Don't worry, Qingge, as long as I'm here, no one will hurt you. Ding. It was detected that Destiny heroine Su Qingge and Destiny hero Yi Chen have strengthened their destiny bond. Yi Chen's destiny points increased by 100, leaving 50 destiny points. Destiny points increased, so that's the deal. If the destiny male protagonist shows off successfully in front of the destiny female protagonist, his destiny points increase. These two mere nobodies actually dare to challenge the Son of God in my time and space restricted area. At that moment, Kong Jianyue's expression turned cold, and an even more terrifying aura emanated from her, causing the surrounding void to twist and tremble slightly. Are you even worthy? These two people had truly soured her mood. She wanted to spend time with her own divine son, she wanted to use the opportunity to improve their relationship, only to be interrupted by these two damned fools. And what enraged her further was that such a weakling dared to attack the Son of God. What kind of person is the Son of God? How could such an ant be allowed to provoke him? At this point, the other emperors reacted, their expressions turning grim as they unleashed their terrifying pressure on Yi Chen and Su Qingge. You're seeking death. Who do you think you are? How dare you act so insolently towards the Son of God in my time and space restricted area? Why bother with these two bastards? If they dare to be so arrogant towards the Son of God, just kill them. That they had all witnessed Kong Wudao's strength, and they had been deeply impressed. Now that they had an opportunity to curry favor, they couldn't let it pass. Chapter 17, The Arrogance of an Ant, Threatening to Defeat the Son of God in 5 Moves. You are listening at novelfull.audio. All 9 of the Emperor's sons were formidable, on par with Yi Chen in terms of cultivation and boasting incredibly strong physiques. Their combined pressure was intense. Despite Yi Chen and his companions' desperate resistance, they were overwhelmed. Damn! Yi Chen's face changed. He realized he'd miscalculated the situation badly. At this rate, they wouldn't even get close to Kong Wudao before being pulverized by these emperors. Pale, Yi Chen's mind raced. then, as if struck by inspiration, his anxiety faded, replaced by a faint smirk, he withstood the crushing pressure and shouted, So, in this time-space forbidden zone, you can only win by ganging up on people? Before I came here, I used special means to record everything. A photo Jade has captured all that's happened here. If word gets out that the dignified time-space forbidden zone resorts to such underhanded tactics, you'll become the laughingstock of the entire universe. I advise you all to think twice before acting. That the Emperor's frowned. This guy was playing dirty. The Void Emperor, watching secretly, sighed in relief. That's my boy, he thought, able to stay cool under pressure. Turning the tables in an instant. Haha. Yi Chen continues to surprise me. Meanwhile, seeing his words had landed, Yi Chen decided to strike while the iron was hot. He addressed Kong Wudao, you're the son of God of the time-space forbidden zone, so you must be the most powerful talent you have, right? If you're a real man, don't hide behind these guys. Dare to take me on. Kong Wudao clearly held the highest status among the emperors, defeating him would solve everything. Despite the oppressive feeling Kong Wudao gave him, Yi Chen had absolute confidence, since he rose from nothing, unleashing his full power was an unstoppable force. Besides, Kong Wudao's cultivation was lower, only at the 7th level of Dao Palace realm. The 9 emperors must respect him only because of his status. He, on the other hand, was at the 9th level, practically at the false god realm. He couldn't let himself be intimidated by someone weaker. What? Several of the emperor's disciples gasped, eyes widening as if they'd heard the most ridiculous joke ever. What the hell? This nobody wanted to challenge their divine son. Not long ago, their divine son had crushed Kong Xianyang, their best. Yi Chen was even weaker than Kong Xianyang. Was this guy asking to get killed? Blissfully self-assured, Yi Chen missed the emperor's looks of disbelief. When no one answered, he assumed they were intimidated. He opened his mouth to press the attack, but the Void Emperor's voice suddenly boomed in his mind, disciple, don't underestimate him. Even though Kong Wudao is only at the 7th level, his strength is far beyond that. Don't engage him head-on. Yi Chen bit back his words. What was his master implying? That he was weaker than Kong Wudao, who was 2 levels below him. Just because he was the son of God. Did his own master not believe in him? Yi Chen felt an inexplicable surge of anger. He had clawed his way up from the bottom, the young master of a fading family. Compared to Kong Wudao's status, they were worlds apart. Yi Chen harbored a deep resentment towards geniuses born at the top. Why were they born into privilege? Why were they allowed to be so arrogant? He, Yi Chen, would prove himself to the world. A self-made man like him could trample them underfoot, turning them into stepping stones on his path to greatness. Master, you've always told me to have ambition and not put myself down. But now, aren't you undermining my spirit and destroying my confidence? Yi Chen asked the Void Emperor, do you think I'm weaker than Kong Wudao? Chener, I. Before the Void Emperor could finish, Yi Chen interrupted, Master, don't say anything else. I hope you'll believe in me. Believe that your apprentice is every bit as good as this so-called son of God. The Void Emperor held back his response, fine. Yi Chen had been unstoppable so far. Even Su Qingge, his most formidable enemy, had been defeated and won over by his courage. His success had only fueled his arrogance. Maybe a setback would do him some good, and he would be there to keep the time-space zone from pulling anything dirty. Seeing his master silent, Yi Chen regained his confidence. Maybe it was to smack these guys in the face, or to make his master and loved ones admire him. Yi Chen arrogantly held up 5 fingers at Kong Wudao. And declared, I know you're the son of God, and your strength is extraordinary. But I'm 2 levels higher than you. So, to be fair, I won't take advantage. 5 moves. If you can last 5 moves against me, I'll consider you the winner. How about it? The Emperor's sons were stunned. Not just by the arrogance of the offer, but also by the recklessness of this guy. Where did he get the nerve to make such a demand of their divine son? Yi Chen. Su Qingge watched with hearts in her eyes. This asterisk was the man she admired. Such majesty and grace, nobody could compare. the son of God of the time-space forbidden zone. Worthless compared to her love. Chapter 18, take one move from this son of God and you will win. Suppress with one move. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Damn bug. Kong Jiangyue's knuckles cracked as she squeezed her hands into fists, glaring at Yi Chen with murderous rage. Arrogant. The guy was unbelievably arrogant. As a princess, she devoured countless ancient texts detailing Kong Wudao's legendary feats. In her mind, Kong Wudao was the ultimate, unbeatable genius, period. Becoming an emperor was practically a given for someone like him. He was destined for even greater things, like becoming a mythical immortal or an immortal emperor. Yi Chen's words weren't just arrogant and ignorant, they were blasphemy against the invincible legend she worshipped. How could some scrub who couldn't even beat her be so cocky? Lord Shensi, this punk's got a serious attitude problem. Please, let me take him down. I'm ready to serve, Lord Shensi. Let me wipe the floor with this clueless jerk. That it wasn't just Kong Jiangyue, a whole chorus of other royals were begging Kong Wudao to punish Yi Chen. Kong Wudao just chuckled, nah, I'm bored. I'll handle it myself. Consider it a little entertainment. But Lord Shensi, he actually. Kong Jiangyue was still seething. Kong Wudao held up a hand, silencing her. Did she even get it? This was exactly the kind of person he loved to mess with, a weak, arrogant fool who didn't know his place, because the look on their face when their pride got stomped into the dirt. Pure gold. A faint smile played on Kong Wudao's lips. He stood casually, hands clasped behind his back, and addressed Yi Chen. 5 moves. That's overkill. 1 move is all it'll take. If you survive 1 attack, you win, and I'll give you your precious brother's supreme bone. Of course, I, the son of God, am feeling generous. I'll throw in something extra. Kong Wudao glanced at Su Qingge, a smirk spreading across his face. All of you jump me at once. I, the son of God, can handle you all easily. After all, you're really that weak. Yi Chen and Su Qingge were both floored, stunned into silence. Kong Wudao, with a lower cultivation level than Yi Chen, could beat him in a single move. Even crazier, he wanted them both to come at him at the same time. Don't you want revenge for your brother? Kong Wudao tilted his chin up, a teasing glint in his eyes. Or are you gonna rely on your little girlfriend to do the dirty work? Ding. Su Qingge, daughter of destiny, emotional state unstable. Destiny points decreased to 3,400. Congratulations to the host for gaining 100 destiny points. Hearing the system's notification, Kong Wudao's smirk deepened. Su Qingge, the female lead, and Yi Chen, the male lead, were practically neck and neck when it came to destiny points and cultivation. In his opinion, Su Qingge didn't want to become Yi Chen's sidekick. A little prodding, and she was playing right into his hands. These so-called chosen ones were pretty pathetic. Kong Wudao. I'm gonna kill you. Su Qingge roared, summoning her magic weapon, the Xuanhuan Linglong, ready to throw down. Su Qingge. Calm down. This is my fight. Yi Chen grabbed Su Qingge. Trust me. I'm going to beat Kong Wudao and get your brother's supreme bone back. That is the top dog in Xuanhuan domain. Yi Chen wasn't about to back down. This clown was disrespecting his girl. That wasn't going to fly. After calming Su Qingge, Yi Chen locked eyes with Kong Wudao, his gaze icy. Not only had this guy been talking trash, but he dared to disrespect his woman. Today, Yi Chen would crush him under his heel. He was going to make him eat those words, and he was going to prove to his master that he was just as good, no, better, than Kong Wudao. Boom! Yi Chen went all out, unleashing the full power of the 9th level of the Dao Palace realm. He even tapped into the full might of his 9-turn divine phoenix body. A wave of pure power surged outward with enough force to shake the heavens and the earth. Chirp! A deafening phoenix cry echoed across the land. A colossal, fiery phoenix materialized behind Yi Chen, the blazing flames threatening to engulf everything. He was pulling out all the stops, even using a forbidden technique his master had recently taught him. Rumble! The air crackled as bolts of pure energy tore through the void. They swirled around Yi Chen, making him look like a god of war descended from the heavens. Yi Chen probably thought he looked pretty badass at that moment, but to Kong Wudao, he was just a clown putting on a show. Hunters lived for that moment when the prey realized they were trapped and fought with everything they had. To the prey, it felt like they could turn the tides with one final blow. But to the hunter, it was just a pointless tantrum. The divine phoenix soars across the heavens. Yi Chen roared, boom. The power he had been building up exploded, unleashing a torrent of flames like a raging river. The massive phoenix spread its wings, its body engulfed in fire and lightning. It cried out to the heavens, then plummeted straight toward Kong Wudao. The raw energy tore through the sky. Kong Wudao looked almost insignificant in comparison, about to be completely obliterated. Yi Chen's gotten stronger. Su Qingga's eyes sparkled. That strike would have crushed Kong Wudao, who was 2 levels below Yi Chen. Even a false god realm expert would have been caught off guard. Humph. So much for the Son of God. Seeing Kong Wudao frozen in place, seemingly terrified by his attack, Yi Chen regained his confidence. He had poured everything he had into that blow, including the 9-turn divine phoenix blood. How could Kong Wudao possibly block it? But then, the unexpected happened. The expected destruction in Kong Wudao's destruction didn't materialize. The tsunami of power slowed, as if encountering a wall. It froze in midair. What? Everyone stared in disbelief as Kong Wudao casually placed his left hand behind his back and extended his right. His hand, strong and steady, was like an unshakable mountain, catching Yi Chen's attack effortlessly. Yi Chen's earth-shattering move didn't even scratch Kong Wudao. The storm of power couldn't even ruffle his clothes. Chapter 19 Huge Gap, Heavy Damage in One Blow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This scene was insane. The Phoenix energy, powerful enough to destroy the world, didn't even get a chance to detonate before Kong Wudao shut it down with a flick of his wrist. No freakin' way. Yi Chen, stunned, roared in disbelief, unable to process what he was seeing. Kong Wudao slowly raised his head, a playful smirk on his face. His voice, however, was as cold as the grave. Not bad, I guess. But you think that's enough to run your mouth at me, the Son of God? Kong Wudao then flicked his finger, boom. The earth-shattering roar of cosmic law, coupled with the sound of the void shattering, echoed through everything. Then, before anyone could react, the giant divine phoenix energy that filled the sky, was instantly obliterated by an overwhelmingly terrifying wave, reduced to glittering dust. Boom. An invisible shockwave of energy exploded from Kong Wudao and rippled outward in every direction. Everywhere it went, reality cracked and shattered like glass. Yi Chen. Now. Defend yourself with everything you've got. The Void Emperor's horrified scream snapped Yi Chen out of his daze. Without hesitation, Yi Chen switched from offense to defense, unleashing an even more terrifying surge of energy. The endless laws of reality coalesced into a golden shield, completely enveloping him. However, even with everything he had, he still drastically underestimated Kong Wudao's power. Boom. The storm of energy and law crashed down. The golden shield, which had seemed impenetrable, shattered like tissue paper under the onslaught, exploding instantly. The undiminished power slammed directly into Yi Chen's arms. Snap, snap, crack. The sickening sound of bones breaking and flesh tearing split the air. In a burst of blood, Yi Chen's arms were instantly shattered into dozens of pieces, and several ribs on his chest fractured. His whole body, a bloody mess, tumbled backward like a ragdoll. Boom. He finally stopped when his mangled body slammed into a ruined planet. Now, Yi Chen had lost all of his earlier power, his arms broken. He lay on his back like a discarded doll, though his iron will kept him from screaming. His face was deathly pale, the pain made his muscles spasm uncontrollably, and he vomited blood in great gouts. This. The emperors who witnessed this scene were stunned, their eyes like pinpricks, unable to find words for the shock they felt. They had known their Son of God would win, but they never expected a complete and utter beatdown. When they had seen Yi Chen unleash his full power, they'd recognized the power of his physique. They knew it would take them some time to win against someone that powerful, but their Son of God had not only stopped his full attack with one hand, he'd then broken both arms with a flick of his finger, disabling him completely. such a one-sided victory was beyond belief. Damn! Kong Xianyang sucked in a sharp breath, cold sweat beading on his forehead. Holy crap, he remembered his father saying that Kong Wudao had let him off easy. He'd been skeptical. Now, he'd never been more grateful to be the emperor's son in a restricted area. Otherwise, he might have ended up even worse than Yi Chen. Master Shensi is crazy strong. Kong Jianyue's eyes sparkled. The Son of God's overwhelming victory was definitely fascinating. Those arrogant jerks deserve to be crushed like that by the Son of God. Yi Chen, lost in one shot. Su Qingge was just as shocked as the emperors, if not more so. She and Yi Chen were known as the twin stars of Sichuan Dao domain, once each other's fiercest rivals. She'd always respected Yi Chen's strength, that was why she admired him, but now, she'd watched Kong Wudao smash the man she admired in one blow. The extreme contrast made Su Qingge freeze in place like a statue, as if her soul had been ripped out. Deep within the ancestral heart of the restricted area, endless energies surged and roared, the vast charm falling from the sky and the earth. Several powerful figures, seeming to embody the sun, moon, and stars, sat cross-legged on the platform. They were the current ancestors of the restricted area. The moment of Kong Wudao's birth had also awoken them from their sleep. The eyes of many ancestors were now fixed on a suspended screen. The screen showed Kong Wudao defeating Yi Chen outside the restricted area with one move. Wudao's talent is as strong as ever. An ancestor stroked his beard and smiled. With that kind of power, even in this new age, no one can stand against Wu Dao. That's right. Looking at Wu Dao's strength compared to all the other young prodigies in our restricted area, he's at the top. The prodigies, in the era of recovery, are nothing to be afraid of. By the way, I sense a strange soul aura in that Yi Chen kid. An ancestor suddenly said, seems like a remnant of a ninth-grade emperor, and it's connected to the law of the void. Connected to the law of the void? Could it be that punk who calls himself the Void Emperor? Another ancestor chuckled. I remember that guy's escape skills are top-notch. I didn't think he'd made it this far. He even picked the Yi Chen kid as his disciple. Should we wipe him out completely? The cultivation of these ancestors has reached its limit here. Even now, deep within the restricted area, they could destroy the Void Emperor's soul with a thought. Hold off for now. Another ancestor smiled. Wudao's just been born, we don't want to step on his toes. They could snuff the Void Emperor's soul with just a thought. The so-called remnant of the great emperor might amuse their Son of God. Chapter 20 The Daughter Who Abolished Destiny. I prefer your bohemian confidence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Compared to everyone else's shock and confusion, Kong Wudao stared at Yi Chen, lost in thought. He'd held back, wanting to maximize his destiny points, but he'd still aimed to completely wreck the guy. Logically, that last blow should have done more than just break his arms, it should have wrecked his meridians and shattered his dantian, but they all felt this weird force shielding Yi Chen from most of the attack. Kong Wudao narrowed his eyes, probing Yi Chen with his spiritual senses. Sure enough, he sensed this subtle soul vibe, one that didn't belong to Yi Chen. Could it be that thing? Kong Wudao zeroed in on the jade pendant around Yi Chen's neck. The strange soul energy was coming from it. That's probably what fueled Yi Chen's meteoric rise. Whatever, he didn't really care. Whether he wanted it or not depended on his mood. Is that the invincible path you're so proud of? You couldn't even lay a finger on me. Just like I said. A smirk played on Kong Wudao's lips. You're weak, ding. Congratulations, master. You successfully injured Yi Chen, the destined male lead, and dealt a major blow to his resolve. 1,000 destiny points deducted from the target. Congratulations, master. Triple critical hit. Acquired 3,000 destiny points. Yi Chen currently has 4,050 destiny points remaining. Yi Chen, snapping out of her stupor, Su Qingge cried out, rushing to check on Yi Chen, but before she could get close, Kong Wudao flashed in front of her. Before she could even react, Kong Wudao chuckled. Since you two came together to challenge my territory, why not take a shot from me? Boom. Instantly, Kong Wudao unleashed his power, punching Su Qingge head-on. You. Su Qingge reacted fast, pouring all her strength, including the power of her innate supreme bone, into a counterattack. Endless runes merged with innate power, forming a special barrier around Su Qingge, but it was useless. Her full power defense was as fragile as paper. Kong Wudao shattered it with a single punch, showing no mercy. He slammed his fist into Su Qingge's dantian. Boom! The overwhelming force, like a cataclysm, instantly shattered Su Qingge's dantian. And the terrifying energy kept going, ripping through her meridians. With that one blow, Su Qingge was utterly ruined, a cripple. Ugh! Su Qingge coughed up blood, like a wounded bird, crashing down, but Kong Wudao wasn't done. He flashed forward, grabbed her delicate neck, and hoisted her into the air. Qingge! Yi Chen, lying in his own blood, roared in agony, Kong Wudao. Get your filthy hands off her, ding! Detected Master successfully destroyed Su Qingge, the destined heroine. 1,000 destiny points deducted from the target. Master triggered a double critical hit and acquired 2,000 destiny points. Su Qingge currently has 2,400 destiny points remaining. Ding! Detected that destiny hero Yi Chen's resolve has taken another critical hit. 500 destiny points deducted from the target. Congratulations, Master. Triple critical hit. Gained 1,500 destiny points. Yi Chen currently has 3,550 destiny points remaining. Listening to the system's announcements, Kong Wudao's smirk deepened. These destined couples were a riot. Taking out one of them created a chain reaction, double the fun. He wasn't being cruel. They'd come looking for him. Besides, Kong Wudao preferred their earlier cockiness to their current misery. No way! Yi Chen, his arms broken and ribs cracked, struggled to his feet, ignoring the pain. Yi Chen. You can't beat him. Don't be stupid. The Void Emperor's anxious voice rang out. He hadn't expected Kong Wudao to be this strong. If he hadn't stepped in earlier, Yi Chen would be dead. But that intervention had blown his cover. The Void Emperor could feel several powerful gazes locking onto him from within the time-space zone. He couldn't even use his void magic to teleport Yi Chen and Su Qingge out. One wrong move and they'd all die here. Regret washed over him. Hadn't they said the time-space zone had been weakened? Why did the gaze from within fill him with such terror? Could a great emperor still be alive in there? Oh, I almost forgot about our little bet. Kong Wudao chuckled. If you beat me, you get your beloved brother's supreme bone. But if you lose, well, I get to play with your little darling here. Kong Wudao. I'm going to kill you. Consumed by rage, Yi Chen forgot his master's warnings. His eyes were bloodshot, crazed, ignoring his injuries. He tried to attack again, but the moment he stood up, an even more terrifying force descended, crushing him instantly. It was Kong Xuanhuan and the other emperor stepping in. Their son of God had given these guys plenty of chances. These idiots couldn't control themselves. Now that they were losing, they were throwing a tantrum. Did they think they were blind?